Hey everyone, welcome back to Daily Downshift. I'm your host, Orest. So I kind of promised that I would do these once a week, but I have been extremely busy. Either way, today is Corvette Update Day, and seeing as how I haven't done one of these for a few weeks now, I'll include some noteworthy information from last week as well. Now, you may be asking yourself, what can I expect from this video? So to break it down to its core, I will discuss yet another Corvette assembly plant shutdown, then I will discuss a new Z06 sighting on a track, plus some additional info. I'll chat a little bit about the increase in convertible sales, I'll speak briefly about the buyers of the C8, and finally I will discuss a potential Corvette SUV. So, let's begin. For those of you who have been following along with C8 production, the Corvette assembly plant was plagued with shutdowns, one in 2019 and two of them in 2020. Unfortunately, it looks like it has to continue going into 2021. The latest news is advising that there will be a suspension due to supplier issues. Luckily though, it's only for 1 week. They will cease production the week of February 1st and they are aiming to reopen on February 8th. At this point in time, it is unspecified as to which supplier is having the problems, but there is currently a global chip shortage which is affecting companies such as Volkswagen and Ford, just to name a couple. So that may or may not be related. Now this is quite obviously negative news, but we have to look at the bright side and appreciate that it's only for 1 week because it definitely could have been longer as it has been in the past. Moving on to the next story, and this is one that excites me the most because it concerns the Z06. Supposedly this next variant could be released this year, as early as July. That would be the most epic thing that could happen since everyone was expecting a delay on this car, and for good reasons. However, you shouldn't get too excited because that just means the reveal should come around that time, and who knows when deliveries would actually commence. Additionally, we have to scrutinize this information because, for lack of a better phrase, this comes from a very shaky source. An employee from the 16th largest Chevrolet dealer in the US, specifically in Florida, came forward and basically said that dealers will be able to provide customers with more information about the Z06 come July 2021. So whether this is just fake hype or an employee that couldn't keep their lips shut will remain to be seen. It is also worth noting that GM has not yet confirmed or denied. So to remain on the topic of the Z06, there has been a new sighting on a track, more specifically Willow Springs Raceway. It does seem like they are getting closer and closer to the release of this model as the frequency of photos and videos is definitely increasing. I will mention that at this point it's quite obvious that this Z06 isn't using the pushrod V8 and is definitely switching over to the naturally aspirated flat plane crank motor. It sounds incredibly similar to a Ferrari 458, and maybe some of you will disagree, but honestly I love it. I'm really hoping we get our hands on one like ASAP. And if you haven't yet heard the sound, don't worry, I'll cut to the track clip which comes from Motor Trend right now. Well, I don't know who will argue about the sound of the Z06, but I guarantee it won't be me. It just sounds so good. Anyways, hopping to the next story. Obviously, everyone watching right now knows that they can't produce enough Corvette C8s to meet demand, but what some of you may not know is that the convertible sales are on fire. Convertible sales currently account for 35 to 40% of all sales. Now, you don't have to be a mathematician to work out that it doesn't account for the majority of sales, but it's a massive difference from the C7 generation. The C7 convertibles sold at about half that number. 20% of all models sold were convertibles. And when you consider the fact that the convertibles cost over $7,000 more than the coupe, you understand that this is quite significant. I think there are really two strong reasons as to why the sales are so high. One is pretty straightforward. The new retractable hardtop design ticks all the boxes. It functions well, it's quick, and most importantly, it's a hardtop, not a ragtop. It also retains trunk space, which is huge for many buyers. The second reason is that the brand has attracted newer and younger customers, which leads me into my next story. GM's Vice President Steve Hill has recently come forward to state that C8 buyers are wealthier than C7 customers. They do this by measuring the median household income of Corvette buyers. To be completely honest and transparent, I'm not sure about how exactly they calculate it, but my guess is by finding the household income in your neighborhood and then tallying up the numbers for all buyers. And they obviously retain your address in their files when you hand over your driver's license to pick up your new car. If you're interested in the exact number, apparently the median household income of a C8 buyer is $76,000 higher than those who purchase C7s. That seems like quite a significant difference, and it would help to explain why most Corvettes that are ordered are 3LTs and have the Z51 package, among many other options. Very cool to have access to these stats. Finally, the last segment is one that is the most controversial, and for good reason: the potential Corvette SUV. Now, this is something that I heard about over a year ago, and my first thought was, yeah, they'll probably move forward with this. I was so convinced that I ended up making a video on it, and you can go ahead and check that out. But today, I will provide you with this update. Recently, a teaser video was aired by GM showcasing several electric vehicles, and people noticed that one SUV in the background looked to have headlights similar to that of a C8. The Vice President of Global Design, Michael Simcoe, came forward and confirmed that it is a future Buick model, and I'm sure a lot of people were elated. However, Bloomberg has now come forward with a source that doesn't want to be named, and they're stating that GM is working on at least one electric Corvette SUV. It's estimated to come out as early as 2025, which makes sense because it would be a C9, seeing as how they're switching over to hybrid or full electrification for the next generation. If you ask my opinion, I think this would be a great revenue generator for GM, but the inner passionate car guy in me would say that they're just watering down the Corvette brand, which is probably something that you guys would agree with. However, they did do it with the Ford Mustang, and let's not forget about the Lamborghini SUV, which has single-handedly doubled Lamborghini sales in 2019 and 2020. So it really does make sense, and if they give it the green light, which I strongly believe they will, it will be a success. Now, I dislike SUVs in general, but the market of buyers has shown that they prefer them over sedans and smaller cars. So you have to make what customers want, or you're just gonna fall behind. It's the same as the C8 becoming mid-engine. A lot of people hated it, but guess what? It turned out to be the best thing that they could have done for the brand. So those are all the news updates that I have for you this week. I apologize for not doing it sooner, but I hope this has somewhat made up for the lack of information. Definitely let me know in the comments what you think of these stories and whether you'd be on board with a Corvette SUV. I know there's probably a lot of wives out there that are getting very excited for this. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will continue making these videos. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take care.